just having a look at the outside before I even put it down. Just being aware of any of the sort of fraying textile and looking at the boards because you have the split, just trying to work out what's happening there. And that's firm, that's fine.
My name is Ngaio Vince-Wax. I am the book conservator at Auckland Central Library.
So I then start to look inside, just being careful of the opening, just to see if it's okay. Be checking the sewing, making sure that's stable. Insect damage here, down the bottom. It looks like it's been like some kind of rodent as well. May have been nibbling at that.
I work with the heritage collections, and my job is fundamentally to care for the physical needs of the collections. So the curator collects all the material together. They decide on what they would like to exhibit. And so I will first of all do an assessment of the objects to make sure they're in good enough condition to go through 3 months of exhibition and to be doing what they're asking it to do. If it's sitting closed, then I'm going to assess it differently to them wanting to have it open on an angle.
This is thought to be one of the oldest books in the manuscript collection. So it's a 12th century Greek lectionary. So with this book, we didn't have a particular opening in mind. We just approached it as which opening is going to be best for the book. We're interested in being able to see the boards and that textile lining, the underside of it here with the damage. It's about this book's physicality, in all its aspects.
Okay, it looks like it's been really damp.
Is that what causes the cockling?
Yes. So the parchment is originally animal skin, and the process of making parchment is to stretch it and to make it flat, beautiful and flat, so you can write on it. You then expose it to moisture and it will start to want to curve back again into the shape of the animal. And if there's a lot of it, it will start to cockle and strain. And that's something we'd need to consider when we're opening it, because when you open that, you start to put strain on the pages as well.
A book is a mechanical object. So the spine is a mechanism, if you like, that kind of opens and closes. Very rarely in a museum you do ask an object to work. Musical instruments are very rarely played, or clocks are usually not working, but a book, we're asking it to open and close, so that mechanism. So each book is an individual. It's really taking them in your hand. Are they trying to tell me that this bit is a bit stiff? Just feeling what it wants to do.
This is a manuscript book that contains three texts written by Aristotle. This is sort of what it looks like. So it's got these 2 columns of text, and you can see that in addition to the main text here, there's all these annotations and kind of marginal notes written at different times by different people.
Just looks like an imperfection in the
vowel.
Yeah, probably part of its making. And look here.
Oh yeah, a little repair. So before it was even written, eh?
Yeah, you have some good quality parchment, but it's also some of the seconds, if you like. So you have holes and repairs. This would be extremely expensive.
So for this exhibition, we really wanted to show the range of the different manuscripts that we have in the collection. So with this one, because it's a scientific textbook, that gives us a kind of a content point of difference from some of the more religious works, and it has this text which has been written in this really interesting pattern, including this kind of triangular kind of shape. I always have like a massive love for books that look like they've been used, so the annotations and marginal notes have a lot of appeal for me, and you can really see the way that people have interacted with this book over time. I sometimes feel like the preservation assessment for exhibition is a bit like a pitch, where you kind of come in as the curator, especially if you have some ideas about what you want the public to see. Is it going to be safe to open it in this way, or can you see any concerns with this book in terms of displaying it like this? Then the conservator brings all their knowledge and kind of talks around any issues they can see, and together we try and find the best solution for the book.
We are wanting to do everything we can to make it possible to exhibit. And so sometimes things are like, oh, this is not such good condition, but how can we maybe do a little bit of treatment, maybe do some extra supports or some covering that make it possible to still access that. We're reluctant to say no, but we will say no if we feel we can't do it safely. It looks in great condition, and it's been sewn so that it opens really nicely without any strain on the paper. So yeah, all good. We will make the support for an individual book for an individual opening. So if you open it too many pages later, I'd have to make a completely new mount. So this is a Greek Gospel, 12th, 13th century. There won't be an original binding. That's the opening there. So it's important that it's at the opening it's going to be at, because the shape of the spine will change as you open it. It will kind of move. So it's been aware of the shape that the book is making when it's open at that opening. And so we look at the profile. So we create support that matches that profile. These 2 points here are the kind of the highest point of each side. When you looked at the object in the case, you don't want it to be doing that. You want it to be doing that. It's been able to concentrate both on making the support and on looking after the books. Lots of washing. We do sometimes use gloves if the materials are particularly sensitive to touch. So for textiles, for example, wood, otherwise we don't, because it tends to make our hands less sensitive so that it becomes a bit clumsy. It's not just about ensuring that other people or that the conditions are not damaging it, but it goes right down to how I'm treating it minute by minute. And that's part of what I assess. Can it go through the whole exhibition process, which includes going through my hands? Yeah, good. No, I'm happy with that actually. I wasn't sure how it's gonna sit, but I think I can work nicely with that. I'm going to make this some legs now so it can support this part here. The purpose of the book cradle is to provide just that support through the whole exhibition time. And so it's just making sure that they're going to be comfortable through that whole process, that there aren't any stresses on it, it's not going to cause any damage. I think that should be happy like that. The next stage is to fit the book a bit more snugly to the cradle. So we have a very square shape here, which gives the most of the support in terms of the weight. But we're looking at quite a round book here, so there's going to be gaps between the book and the cradle, so it's filling in those gaps so you have the connection between the book and the cradle. The most challenging object to create a support for in this exhibition was the 12th century Greek manuscript, which is our oldest manuscript in the collections. In terms of the binding, has very elements that are either original or very early. It's a fascinating book in that it contains a lot of evidence of its history. So the curators were very keen to see as much of the object as possible. So they suggested having a mirror behind so that you could see the back of the book as well as the front. You can see the reflection, you can see behind, you can see the lights coming up, and also you can see a reflection of the board here, and you can see from the side. If you come further down, you suddenly get a view of the images behind on the wall. So you're getting this whole line of colour, which is another kind of little surprise.
good to go.
Yep.
And this is really incredible to see. Yeah.
In terms of our approach to lighting during exhibition, our fundamental concern is that the light levels don't damage the collections in any way.
Okay, down one. One more.
We do follow international guidelines in terms of acceptable levels of light. We consider how long an object's going to be on show. So we do the calculations in terms of the total amount of light it's going to be exposed to.
So we're aiming for 50 lux. For this material and for the length of time we're exhibiting, and because of the pigments, we've just been very conservative. When it's on the angle, it kind of interacts and falls in a different way. So in terms of how we measure it, we kind of reproduce the angle.
It's very much a balancing act. So we need to balance the need to see objects and to really see the colour, to see texture, with the need to keep everything safe during that process. What I find fascinating about the manuscripts is that you've got contained in that object the work of so many people. The parchment to start with, then you have people who make the ink, then you have the pigments that are produced. You have all those materials that come together, and the scribe will produce the document. And then once the text is made, it will go to somebody who binds it, again another specialism. So we have medieval trees here, and we have medieval animals and stone and all the work that goes in to produce them. My work is very craft-based. So the connection with people of the past, and particularly craftspeople of the past, is particularly exciting for me. But the fact that they're here, available to anybody in the public who can come and access it, I think is sort of, to me, the ultimate of democracy, really. Are you allowed to have favourites? Well, we have favourites. I certainly have favourites. The process of working with material is a very personal one. You're handling the objects, you're with them, and so some things naturally touch you more than others. Many medieval manuscripts have been rebound. So the double treasures for me are the medieval manuscripts that have both medieval text and medieval covers. It's not perfect. It's got so much to tell. The stories that they hint at, something in your imagination that kind of can fill in the rest.